This case happened in Singapore, a country known for its safety, order, and low crime. Even yet, some crimes are so brutal that it is etched into history for decades. This is a story about family, money, and a morning that started off like any other morning but ended with one of the most horrifying murders Singapore has ever seen. This is the murder of Madam Quek Lee Eng. Hi, you guys, and welcome to the G.M.C channel where I bring you the ghost, the mystery, the crime. I am Esther Vincent, also known as Leamia on social media. If you have not done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you guys are going to stay until the end of this video, which I hope you do, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, like the channel, like the video, leave a comment, share it with others, help the channel grow further. For that, I will really say thank you. I would appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. And without further ado, let's get into today's crime. Madam Quek Lee Eng. She was 53 years old. She was the wife of a wealthy local textile merchant, and by all accounts, she lived a very respectable, comfortable life. She was known to be disciplined, organized, and financially savvy. Beyond her family life, Madam Quek was also involved in running a tontine group. Again, we're here with tontine. I think 2 videos back, I learned about this word tontine scheme, tontine savings or something. I didn't know what it was back then, but now I think I kind of have an idea of what it is. Locally, we call it in a different name. I think that's the reason for my confusion. Tontine, I think locally we Indians call it kutukase. Is that the right thing? Or in Bahasa Melayu, Malay, they say duit kut. Is that what it is? Any of you guys out there, if I'm right, do let me know. If no, please do let me know what tontine is. I'm not super clear about it, but I think kutu or kut is what tontine is here locally. But over here, it says it's a traditional rotating savings scheme where members contribute money regularly and take turns receiving large amounts, large payouts. It sounds like that. These financial arrangements rely heavily on trust, and trust in this case would show that it can turn deadly when money is involved. On the 9th of May 1974, Madam Quek left her home in the morning at about 8:30 a.m. Before leaving, she told her sons exactly where she's going. She told them that she's going to go and pay a visit to her brother's wife, her sister-in-law named Sim Ju Kyo. There was nothing unusual about this visit. There was no signs of fear, no sense of urgency, just a normal routine visit to settle off some money matters. But Madam Quek would never return home. When hours passed and there was still no words from her family grew worried. A police report was made by the end of the day, and Madam Quek was officially classified as a missing person. But no one knew it yet that Madam Quek was already no more. 2 days later, Singapore was shaken by a gruesome discovery. Panic-stricken calls were made to the authorities. When police went to investigate, they would find a pair of dismembered legs inside of a public toilet. They were crudely cut off at the knees. Forensic examination would confirm something chilling, that the pair of legs that was found in the public toilet, those belonged to a woman, and they have been cut off less than 24 hours earlier. The dismembered legs were quickly linked to that of Madam Quek's. So this was not an accident, this was not a medical disposal, this was possibly a murder. And now the search for a missing woman turned into a race to uncover a possible killer. As investigators retraced Madam Quek's last known final movements, one detail stood out clearly. Her last known location was her sister-in-law's home, Sim Jo Kyu's home. Sim, the sister-in-law, was called in for questioning not as a suspect or anything, but just as a witness. Well, at first at least. During the initial interview, Sim gave the police her first version of the event. Sim claimed that Madam Quek had arranged to meet up with her at a bus stop, and both of them were to meet up with another person, a third party, to settle up a money issue. According to Sim, she and Madam Quek was already at the bus stop when a car pulled over with a man and a woman inside. Then Madam Quek allegedly got into the car and asked Sim to do so, but Sim refused and never got into the car. That was her first story. Later, she would give another version of the story, and in this version, she mentions that Madam Quack had gone to her house with a couple. Inside her house, a quarrel broke out over money. In the heated argument, Sim said that the man took out a knife and slashed Madam Quack. She tried to intervene by going between them to stop the quarreling, to stop whatever that was going on, but the man punched her in her eyes. She then continued saying that she ran out of the house in fear for her life, and after a couple hours when she returned, everyone was gone, including Madam Quack. But while Sim was being interviewed, something unexpected happened. Her daughter, Sim's daughter, who was sitting outside of the interview room listening to her mother cooking up yet another version of the events, she just had enough. Unable to take it anymore, she intervenes the interview session and tells her mother to just tell the truth. Sim, come on. What stories are you cooking up? How many more times? Just tell the truth already. After the interview session, a police inspector followed Sim back to her house, which was like a two-story rented colonial house, and at that time police did not find anything unusual. There was no visible blood, no obvious signs of struggle, no stench. Everything seemed normal, so Sim was allowed to go home. But the truth was still hidden, still waiting to be uncovered. What actually happened to Madame Quack? Later investigation, the sooner, the deeper the investigation went in, they were able to slowly uncover what truly occurred. That day, when Madame Quack arrived at Sim's home, the discussion over money turned extremely heated. Voices were raised, accusations were exchanged, and at a point, the verbal argument turned physical with Madame Quack literally punching, striking Sim on her face. The now angered Sim jumped in and started strangling Madame Quack. She strangled her until Madame Quack stopped moving, and that's when she started to panic. But instead of calling for help, she would make a decision that would turn a killing to a nightmare crime. She decides to dismember Madame Quack's body. Sim took a meat chopper. After chopping into the body, she used a wooden block to hammer down the chopper into the flesh and bones. Crazy. This would have not been quick. This would have not been clean. But this was the desperation, a desperation at its rawest form. Yeah, like you killed someone, you didn't know what to do, but you start chopping into it. Like, I cannot believe it. She would have been like a normal housewife, with husband and kids. And how do one person, boom, in a split second, change to something like this? This is what intrigues me about killers or serial killers, criminals. Like, what is that one thing that snaps and they could do unthinkable things like this, right? I don't know for you, but yeah, that really intrigues me. Piece by piece, Madame Quack's body was dismembered. Some parts, like the legs, she packed it up and left it in a public toilet near a mosque on Al Junaid Road. Other parts, like the head and arms, they were found tied together in a parcel and disposed near the Kalang River. The torso, though, that remained hidden. Well, at least for now, inside of jars inside Sim's own home. This was not done with precision. It was frantic and brutal and horrifying. The same day the police found the legs in the public toilet, Sim's husband noticed that something was undeniably wrong in his house as well. A strong, unbearable stench smell started hovering around his house. He also said that he saw what looked like blood seeping out of one of the earthen jars, and there were a lot of flies flying around it. The police were called to return, and this time when they tried entering the house, the heavy stench almost drove them back. Inside of this house, this time, they discovered the truth. The remains of Madame Quek Li Eng's torso were hidden inside of two earthen jars, one placed on the first floor, one on the ground floor, decomposing and rotting inside of their family home. On May 12th, finally, Sim told Inspector Daniel Tan that she would tell him everything. Sim was arrested on the spot and she proceeded to show the police inspector where she had hid Madame Quek's handbag and clothes. Sim Ju Kyo was charged in court, but despite the brutality of her crime, the court accepted that the killing was not premeditated. Yeah. She was convicted of culpable homicide not amounting to murder and causing the disappearance of evidence. So, Madame Kwan's body that was like cut off and disposed in multiple different places, like, was that counted as evidence or? And guess what? Sim was only sentenced to 10 years in prison. Just 10 years for strangling Madame Quack. I don't know. But yeah, for many, the sentence felt shockingly light for the brutality of the crime. But yep, the damage was already done. A person already died. They are not going to come back. Just 10 years. Years later, in 2005, Madame Quek's son, now a lawyer, spoke about the lasting impact that tragic event had on them. He said, and I quote, "During the death anniversary of my mother, we'll talk about what had happened and we will all cry. But this happened 30 years back, and I don't want to bring this up again. Fear of hurting my father. Some wounds, they never truly heal, and some crimes, they never really end." The murder of Madame Quek Li Eng remains as one of Singapore's most disturbing cases, not just because of how brutal it was, but it happened in between family members over something as ordinary and as dangerous as money. If this story has affected you, if you have your own thoughts and memories of this crime, do let me know in the comment sections below. If you are still here till this very moment, thank you so much. Don't forget to leave me a like, a thumbs up, and if you have not done so, please go ahead and subscribe. Help the channel grow further. If you have time to spare, click on my next video that would be popping up in a short while. Until the next video, stay safe out there, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.